Sir, good morning, sir.
Good morning, Dr. Amarendra.
Sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you for your acceptance again, sir. Sir, let us start the session, sir, because I think participants also know about you.
Okay, yeah.
Let's start the session directly, sir.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, the presentation first slide, right? You can see.
Yeah, correct, sir. Correct, sir.
Okay, yeah. So, very good morning to all of you. This is again Surinder Singh. For the persons who are new, I'm Surinder Singh and I'm an assistant professor in the Department of Civil Engineering, Transportation Engineering Group, IIT Madras. And today I'll be talking on use of innovative materials in cement concrete payments. So first of all, I would like to thank Dr. Amarendra for inviting me and conducting a very beautiful and systematic faculty developer program on cement concrete payments. So I welcome you all. So, so we'll be starting in today's, the discussion. We'll be talking why we need the concrete payments and how we can, recycle the concrete payments, or what are the various innovative materials. So why? You can see whether it's Andhra or the other parts of the country, there is a ban on quarrying activities, right? So definitely, we need to explore the other pristine, means other aggregates apart from the pristine aggregates that we are utilizing, right? So today's presentation will be on what are the various innovative materials and how we can utilize all the materials. Okay, not if you are not able to utilize in 100% proportion, how some proportion also we can utilize, but before that we need to study those materials. Okay, so starting the presentation. So what is need of rigid payments? Okay, so actually I'll always take this example that we need concrete payments, especially in the areas where there is a heavy rainfall, or we can say monsoon season, right? So if you can see here, this is a payment which is in Kerala. It was a guest house payment. So I went there for a lecture in MA Engineering College in Kerala. So what I found that the roads were green. Okay, so you will be curious when you are going to Kerala that it's a very green state. It's so green that the roads were also green. So I zoomed those pictures. What I found that there is no bitumen or there is no asphalt in these payments, and might be because of the monsoon, there was a bitumen, but stripping of the bitumen might have happened, and the seeds from the near adjacent plants fell and then started growing within the payment system. Okay, so this is a service lane. Okay, only few persons are utilizing it. Let's say if it is a case for the highway, or in fact say for the shoulders also, what will happen? In the one flow only, the entire payment will be demolished, or you can say detonated. Okay, so from these pictures, what I can say that for the areas where you have high rainfalls or high monsoon seasons, which is most part of the country, it is the same scenario. So we should give preference to the cement concrete payments. So there are other disadvantages also as far as the flexible payments are concerned, and one of the lacunas is the potholes. Okay, you can see here that there is a big pothole. Actually, it happens because of many reasons. One of the primarily reason is the presence of the water, because bitumen and the water are like enemies to each other. When the water will be coming, bitumen will be running. Okay, so you can see that there will be many potholes will be available. Okay, for fishing, you can say fishing on a humorous manner. So the other distresses in the typical flexible payments are the fatigue distresses. This happens because of heavy vehicle loading. So what happened during the peak harvesting season? So there will be overloading, and then the frequency of the traffic will also be higher. So combined effect, you can see the alligator cracking because it resembles like an alligator. So we call as a alligator cracking. It's nothing but a fatigue cracking. That means that the payment has been failed. Okay, so one of the other, commonly seen distresses in case of the flexible payment is the corrugation, which happens because of settlement of the underlying layers. So if this happens, if you see that if you're flowing on a highway and you're feeling like this, you'll be enjoying. Okay, but yeah, in some years, in these depressions, the water will be staggered, and then again potholes will be formed. So what we are generally doing, we are filling it with the profile corrective measures. But after some times, again, it will take the shape of the underlying layers. So one way to address this issue is by completely removing the payment and then compact the subgrade or the other layers. Also, rutting is a major distress that can be seen. It is also happening because of two reasons, where either all the vehicles are traveling on a single side, or if the shape, see, this is the shape of the normal rutting. So this shows that either the surface layer has not been compacted fully, or all the vehicles are moving on the same line. And if you see the position or the shape of the payment like this, that means that this is rutting happening because of the poor compaction of the subgrade soil. So because of these reasons, we can say that flexible payment is having lesser stability, lesser durability, especially in the areas with monsoon season. And because of that, after every monsoon season, whether it's Andhra, Tamil Nadu, whatever soil, because of the heavy rainfall, we need to repair it. So that's why there will be high maintenance cost involved. Okay. On the other hand, concrete payments are having better durability and stability against monsoon, against heavy traffic loading. Okay, and we don't have to maintain this. Because of that, it's economical as compared to flexible payments. And moreover, during the construction, it's environmentally sound also. Yeah, so see, rigid payments are good, but yeah, there will be few disadvantages. The first disadvantage because of which it was not popular, sorry, is the high initial construction cost, and especially developing countries like India, we are focusing on initial construction cost only. However, CRRA group did research study, and they found that the 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 choice of the payment depends upon two major factors. One is the strength of the subgrade, other is the traffic loading. So if your strength of the subgrade is well enough and your traffic is lesser, then obviously a flexible payment will be economical. On the other hand, you have poor subgrade and with heavy traffic, rigid payments will always be economical. And if you can see in India, the subgrade quality is not good. If it is good also, our traffic has been increased exponentially. So that means rigid payment may be the better choice, right? But can we wait for 28 days or at least for 14 days? No. The flexible payment, we can use it just immediately after the construction. But concrete payment, we have to wait for 14 days at least, preferably 28 days. So what to do? So that's why we can address these issues nowadays with the help of the precast payments or roller compacted concrete payments. Okay, like we discussed in the first lecture on Monday, we have the roller compacted concrete payments which can be used just after its construction. So if you want to know more about the roller concrete payment, there is one person in IIT Roorkee, Solomon Dev Burma, is working extensively on roller compacted concrete, or you can approach me for further details. So before talking about the innovative materials, because some of the students are also attending, we should know what are the normal materials or natural materials we have to use for formations of different layers of a concrete pavement. Obviously, we need the soil for the subgrade. We need the coarse aggregate and the fine aggregate for different layers of the pavement. And we need cement when you have to cast the wearing course, which is pavement quality concrete, or the base course, which is dry concrete. We need the cement. And nowadays, we have some advanced materials which can vary the properties or strengthen the properties of the concrete mixtures, such as we have chemical admixtures and we have mineral admixtures. In chemical admixtures, these are the materials, chemicals which are used for improving the workability of a concrete mixture. If you want to accelerate the setting time, you can use it. If you have to retard it, you can do it. If you want to reduce the water by cement ratio without affecting the hydration characteristics or the workability, you can use the plasticizers. And nowadays we are having the mineral admixtures. Okay, and the mineral admixtures are used to improve the durability properties as well as the mechanical properties of the concrete mixes, whether it's a silica fume, fly ash, and nowadays, if I talk about the Andhra, we have the rice ash gas, or if I talk about the northern part of the country, we have the bagash ash. So these are the agricultural or industrial waste which can be used to improve the properties of the concrete mixes. It will not only reduce the economy, it will not only optimize the economy, but it will enhance the properties if used in optimized proportions. So you must be hearing this word always, sustainability, sustainable. So the book language says that sustainable means judicial utilization of any material or natural resources in such a manner that the future generation can use it. But as far as my definition is concerned, I'll say sustainability means we should not use the natural resources. We should always use the already utilized materials. That is 3 R's we have to do. We have to recycle, we have to reduce, and we have to reuse. So not ourselves, but our future generation should also recycle, reuse, and reduce the waste. Then only we can say it's sustainable approach. So what are the various materials that we can use for inducing the sustainability in the payments? Okay, if I talk about there are various materials like just in the previous slide we discussed about fly ash, silica fume, rice ash gas. These are the sustainable materials. But in today's presentation, I'll be confining myself to the recycled aggregates only. Okay, there could be many recycled aggregates. Mostly, we can divide it into recycled concrete aggregates. That is the waste material we are getting after a building or after a existing payment, concrete payment is demolished because of any reason. We call them as recycled concrete aggregate. We have reclaimed asphalt pavement, or popularly known as RAP, R-A-P. So these are the materials which are getting after a flexible payment is to be demolished because of all the distresses that we have discussed in the second slide. Nowadays we are having industrial aggregates like copper aggregates, slag aggregates, okay. And in fact, we are working on converting the fly ash into lightweight aggregates for building infrastructure. And nowadays, researchers have started working on the use of plastic aggregates and the rubber aggregates for the concrete mixes as well as the flexible pavements. So in today's presentation, I'm sticking only because 1 hour you cannot finish all the things. So we'll be confining ourselves to recycled concrete aggregates and reclaimed asphalt pavement aggregates. So before that, we should know why we have to use these waste materials. Okay, and before that, when there is a situation that you don't have the natural materials, you have to use the recycled materials, then how to know whether these materials can be utilized or not, right? It's not that simply you're using waste materials, casting 1 cubical specimen, testing the composition, and you will say, oh, I can use it. No, it's not the right approach. So we here in IIT Madras, we sort of, we fundamentally study the material properties and then only decide this material can be used or not. So I have made one sequence. First of all, you have to mechanically characterize this waste material, right? And then chemically characterize this waste material. And then you have to check that this material, when used for concrete in different proportions, normally we use the proportions like 25, 50, 75, 100. Okay, so it can vary depending upon your blending, aggregate blending zones. Okay, but yeah, for time being, we can say we have to replace natural aggregates in different proportions, 25%, 50%, 75%, and 100%. And we have to test the concrete performance. Let's say for the PQC, if I talk about the required strength is 4.5 MPa, flexure strength at 20 days of the curing at the field conditions. So we'll be replacing natural aggregates in these proportions and seeing at which proportion we are getting this strength, right? And then we can recommend that strength. But before that, you have to mechanically and chemically characterize the materials. And also, it's not only the strength, there will be durability parameters that need to be met. Okay, so we'll be discussing one by one. So I hope all the researchers who are here will today get to know Okay, how to characterize a waste material for the payment application. So if I talk about the mechanical characterization, we have many different properties. So the most important property is the specific gravity and water absorption. Okay, because if you can recall, on Monday at 11 o'clock, we discussed about the mixed design fundamentals. So specific gravity was affecting the proportion of aggregates, right? So obviously the recycled aggregates mostly are having lesser density than the natural aggregates, because recycled aggregates will be having some contaminants from the parental source. So obviously it will be reducing your specific gravity. So apart from that, we have to check the other properties. So one of the property is toughness. Okay, because for the payment, vehicle will be coming and there will impact loading. Okay, so the aggregates, if you are intending to use a recycle aggregate, it should have enough toughness. It should have enough resistance to impact loading. So how you can map it? It's a simple equipment known as impact measurement system. You can use it. Okay, I won't go into the mechanics of how this is happening, right? So, and the other thing is that when you are compacting your mixer, when you are compacting your material, right? So the rollers will be compacting it. So the over 8 to 10 rollers and 10 rollers. Okay, so there will be some crushing action. So when you are using some recycled aggregate, it should have enough resistance to that crushing. So you can capture the resistance to compression or the resistance to the this effect. So you can do it aggregate crushing strength test. Okay, so most of the laboratories will be having this equipment. Then because the payment, we should have the resistance to abrasion, because the vehicles will be coming and the vehicles will be coming with some sand. Okay, and then it will be abrading your surface. So normally if you are using some aggregate and it is very prone to, or it can easily be abraded, then when you apply the brakes, there will be slipping, there will be skidding, there will be many things that may result into the some of the crashes at the pavement. So we need to check the resistance to the abrasion. Also, nowadays, if you see, the aggregates are polished. Okay, if the aggregates are polished, and definitely the friction will be reducing, and it can lead to many of the accidents onto the highways. Right. So if you are using some natural aggregate, it should not be polished very easily. So it can be mapped with the help of accelerated polishing testing equipment. Then obviously the shape properties. So generally what we need angular aggregate, so that aggregate to aggregate interlocking will be very good. And we should not be having flaky particles, elongated particles. So we have to see whether the recycle aggregates that we are intending to use should not be having too much of flaky and the elongated particles, and obviously soundness. So this is the most important property when you are using the recycle aggregates after specific gravity, right? Because if I talk about any recycle aggregates, it will be having higher water absorption mostly. So the water, if the water having sulfate or magnesium or chloride ions, because of the high water absorption, they will be coming into the pavement. Okay, and then what will happen? It will interact with the aggregate, and then there will be some expansive reactions, and the aggregates will be failing. And if the aggregates are failing, the entire pavement will be failing. So we need to check these aggregates for the soundness. If your aggregate is able to, okay, if the mechanical characterization is saying that your aggregate is well enough, okay, lying within this stipulated recommendation limits of mode specification or any of the IS or the IRC specification, then only you have to utilize it for concrete mixes. Okay. If it is not, then we have to treat the aggregates or process the aggregates. We'll be discussing it in the detail. So let's assume that my recycle aggregate is satisfying most of the properties. Then I'll be using for concrete mixes. So first thing, don't go directly for the compressive strength. We have to see that how these materials will be affecting your workability, because workability have a direct relationship with the strength properties. If you can see here that at a constant water by cement ratio, you can have 3 strength values. Okay, you can have 3 strength values. This is why, because of the poor compaction. If you are using any waste material and let's say it is reducing your compaction, or it is increasing your compaction energy, and if you are not able to compact it the strength can be reduced even if you are using more cement content. So we have to, capture those behavior. But yeah, luckily we are having all these mineral admixtures nowadays, chemical admixtures. We can play with these concrete matrices by varying the doses of those chemical admixtures. Okay, and then if it is giving you the enough workability, then you have to test it for different properties. If you are intending to use it for the buildings in different elements, then you have to check different properties. It's not only the compressive strength with the help of the cubes, it can be different properties. As far as the payments are concerned, we have compressive strength and the flexure strength. We are designing our mixes. We are designing the thickness of the payments based upon the flexure strength. Okay, so what you have to do after aggregate is being tested for the mechanical properties and it's found to be, advocate, then check for the initial workability, and after that, what you have to do, you have to replace the natural aggregates in different proportion, like we discussed 25, 50, 75, 100 for as an example, and check its workability properties, and then check for the flexure strength. And we discussed in the last session that as far as the flexure strength is concerned, if it is for the buildings, you should use 3-point bending test. But if you are using for the payments, you should always test the advocacy of the material or the advocacy of these proportions by using 4-point bending apparatus, because payment fails in pure bending. Okay, it doesn't fail in shear. So if you draw the shear force and bending moment diagram, it will be like this. There will be no shear failure. There should not be any shear failure. Okay, and after that, let's say if you're 50% of your proportion of the recycled aggregate that you are intending to use, it's giving you enough properties. You cannot recommend it, okay, because there could be many durability issues related to the recycled materials. Okay, so based upon the application area, we can divide the durability properties into different categories. As far as the payments are concerned, the resistance to absorption, okay, shrinkage characteristics, abrasion resistance are the most important thing. And if you want to use some recycled aggregates in the coastal areas, then the resistance to aggressive ions will be the one of the dominating parameters. So we'll be discussing one by one. So let's say if in a laboratory, if you don't have any equipment, what you can do. So all these durability issues, okay, could be mapped indirectly by knowing the porousness of your concrete. Okay, so what happens, let's say I'm using some recycled aggregates here in the concrete, and because of that there is porosity. So if there is a porosity, there are the voids, so what will happen? The groundwater or the surface water will be coming, it will be coming with chloride ions, it may come with sulfate ions, okay, it can come with different ions, and these will be reacting with the hydrated products, and then there will be durability issues. So if we have to see how much porousness will be there in case if you are using some recycled aggregates. So how you can do it? You have to make the concrete mixes, concrete specimens, and then you can dry it for around 24 to 48 hours, and then you measure the weight of that specimen soaked in water for around 48 hours, then capture how much of the water has been absorbed by knowing the difference in the dry weight and the absorbed weight. Okay, that can indirectly you can say that this is the total water absorption. And if the water absorption is higher, that means the chances of the durability issues will be higher. Also, if you are, see, in the case of the concrete pavement, it's not only the water from the top, it can be water from the subgrade also. And normally for the rural areas where we are constructing the pavement directly on the subgrade, because of the capillary action, it can absorb the water. For that, what you can do, you can make small specimens, paint it from the side so that water should not be absorbed from the sides, and don't paint the bottom surface. And you can map how much of the water has been absorbed. And obviously nowadays pervious concrete is being used for some applications. So you should know how much it is contributing or reducing the permeability. So if you want to know more about the pervious concrete, we have one person, Suryakant Sahu. Okay, he's working on the pervious concrete. He's a research scholar in IIT Roorkee. You can contact him. Okay. Then obviously, like for the Tamil Nadu or the other coastal regions, if you are using the recycled aggregates for the marine environment, you know, for in the marine environment, you can have the chloride ions, you can have the sulfate ions, it can go, and then, you know, you can see here, the entire structure is being failed. Okay, so you have to know what is the right proportion of the recycled material that you have to use. Also, if you are intending to use for the structures, it can lead to the corrosion. So you have to see. As far as the payments are concerned, we have two distresses. One is plastic shrinkage, one is the drying shrinkage, and because of that, cracks will be there. It can be functional as well as the structural cracks. So that's why we have to characterize the waste material. We have to know what is the optimum proportion of the recycled aggregates that you have to use, and also the abrasion resistance. Like we discussed in the design fundamentals, that after making the payments, we are making some, some surface texturing so that it can provide you enough friction. So if you're using some waste material, especially the finer fractions, which in due course of the time will be, removed, then slipping, skidding, and then subsequently, some chances of the risk will be there. And if you are using some recycled aggregates for the areas where you can have, temperature as near to the 0 degrees Celsius, then the water will be going inside your pavement. In the night time, it will be freezing, and the frozen volume will be higher, and then it will exert some pressure onto the nearby structures or the concrete, and then the stress, because of these stresses, the crack will be developing. So you need to optimize the optimum proportion. So in a nutshell, what I can say you, that if you want to use some recycled aggregates, it's not only the compressive strength, it should be the different properties based upon the application. Okay. So we'll take a case study on recycled concrete aggregates, which I'm presently working on. All my group is working on different recycled aggregates. One is the recycled concrete aggregates. Okay, so recycled concrete aggregates are the materials that we are getting after an existing infrastructure is demolished because of many reasons, whether it's an achieved service life, or nowadays you can see earlier we had only one floor or G+2 structures. Nowadays we are increasing the height of the structure, so we have to demolish because they are not designed to take that much of the load. Okay, so we are demolishing it. So in the right now, some of the figures says that in India we have 700 million tons of C&D waste, but these are the reported figures. We don't know how much is being generated. Okay, we did some study in Chennai. We found that in Chennai alone we have more than 100 million tons of the C&D waste. Okay, so if I take in account the entire country, then it could be much higher. Okay, so normally when you are demolishing a building, you will be getting around 23% of recycled concrete aggregate. And what is recycled concrete aggregate? It is the aggregate only. Okay, but with cement mortar paste from the previous building. Right? So can we use it? Because it's a significant proportion. So if you see that in India, how we are using the recycled concrete aggregate. So what we are doing, if you see that the concrete structures will be, big structures, right? Big chunks will be coming. So what we are doing at the at the site, only manual segregation will be done. We are removing the steel bars, we are removing the ceramic tiles, and then we'll be disposing it. Okay, we are not disposing the steel because steel, it's much expensive, right? So you can see that in all the C&D waste, they will be totally removing the steel because it is a high residual value. It can be resold, it can be refilled, it can be recycled. Okay, why can't we do with the recycled concrete aggregates? So generally what we are doing after manual sorting or the mechanical sorting we can do, and then we are crushing it into different sizes. Okay, we are crushing it into coarse aggregate, different sizes, and we are crushing into fine aggregates also. Right? So let's say in India we are getting 716 million tons of the C&D waste because of the sorting and because of poor processing. We are able to recycle only 60% of the materials. What about the remaining 40%? It will again go to the disposal areas. So can't we utilize it? Yeah, definitely you can utilize. It's a big proportion, but for that we have to fundamentally understand the material itself. So how to fundamentally understand? If you see here that it is a natural aggregate, it has a rough structure, it has a good interlocking capacity because if you can see the angular shape aggregates are there and the surface is clear. But if I talk about the recycled concrete aggregate, again, see here these are the natural aggregates only. But from the previous building, there will be some attached mortar. And this is the attached mortar because this attached mortar will be increasing your water absorption by around 4 to 5% because it's too porous in the nature. Right? And it will be reducing the mechanical performance of the aggregates. If you see here, that this is a typical case study. I took it from the literature, which says that the natural aggregates, we should have water absorption value of less than 2%, right? If you are intending to use for the concrete pavement application. But the aggregate can have a value up to 12% because of this added mortar. And as far as the other premium properties of the aggregates are concerned, such as toughness or the crushing strength or the resistance to abrasion, normally we say that if you want to use some aggregates in PQC, it should be less than 30%, all these values. But for the recycle aggregate, this value can be way higher because of this added mortar. So what we did, we saw that one of the buildings near to our campus was being demolished. We brought it into our lab, crushed it as for the normal, crushing size synchrology that we are adopting, and then we found that we characterized it all the fractions. The coarse aggregate fraction, 20 mm and 10 mm, and fine recycle aggregate. What we found that the specific gravity of these recycle aggregates was very much lesser. Normally, specific gravity should be nearby 2.6, but these are, low weight aggregates. Why? Because it will be having some mortar. Okay, and this mortar will make its weight little lesser, right? And as far as the water absorption is concerned, you can see it's varying from 4% to 10%. For fine aggregates, it's around 10% because this mortar will be having more porousness because of this added mortar. So the added mortar may be, okay, it can be covering your entire aggregate or some of the aggregates will be partially covered. It can be up to 42%. Okay. So what we did, we characterize it and we think, okay, we'll see what the specifications is saying. So these are the specifications which is followed across the globe. This says that if you want to use some recycle aggregate, its water absorption should be lesser and this density of the aggregate should be more. These are the two parameters which, with the help of which you can quantify the aggregates for the concrete infrastructure. Okay. So in most of the cases, it is less than 2, right? But this is for the globe. What about the India? In India, we have recently revised IS 383 specification in 2016. Now it allows us to use the recycle aggregates in different proportions. If you see here that for the lean concrete, that is where the strength requirement is less than M15, you can go with 100% recycling. Okay, you don't have to be afraid now because code specifies you to do it. If you're using for plain concrete, you can replace 25% of the natural aggregate by these recycle aggregate. Sorry. Then when you're using for reinforced structures, you have to reduce it by 5%. That means 20% of the pristine aggregates can be replaced by these recycle aggregates for reinforced concrete applications. Okay. What about the payments? Payments, we are using IRC 15. Okay. So IRC 15 says that you can use for dryling concrete. Dryling concrete, the requirement is M10. Okay, means 10 MPa strength. But there is a mismatch. For buildings, they are saying, because in buildings, you see there is a use factor, there is a risk factor. Because we will be staying in the buildings. Building collapse, what will happen, right? So this says that for a concrete of up to M50, that is 15 MPa strength, you can use 100% recycle aggregate. But for the dryling concrete, which is not a load-bearing layer, we can use only up to 30%. Okay, and it's strictly prohibited to use the final fraction. Why it is happening? So obviously this is happening because of the added mortar. Because we don't want that the water from the adjoining areas containing sulfate ions, chloride ions should come and then fail our pavement. So I think as the researchers, we should work hard on this aspect, and we have to increase the proportion of the recycle aggregates because we don't have the natural aggregates right now because of the ban on the quarrying activities. So we have to increase this proportion by doing some fundamental study. Fundamental means you have to characterize the aggregates. Fundamentally, it's not like using the aggregates, making some concrete cubes and then saying that, yeah, we have achieved this strength, it can be used. No, it's wrong. So why? Because what is happening when you are using some recycle aggregates? Let's say if I use the recycled concrete aggregate, what will happen? Before that, we should know what is happening in the normal concrete mixture. This is an aggregate. This is the cement mortar paste. If you can recall from the mixed design fundamentals from the day one, the water nearby the aggregates will be higher as compared to the water in the concrete matrix. Because of the higher water, the water by cement ratio will be higher at the interface zone. And that's why the interfacial transition zone is the weakest link. So if you apply the loading, if your aggregate is good enough, if you are making M60 grade concrete, but the crack will be going through the interfacial transition zone. Okay, it will be failing in similar manner. So this is for the normal concrete. If I talk about the recycled concrete aggregate, this is the aggregate. Recycled concrete aggregate is having old mortar at some places. At some places there will not be any, adult mortar. So there can be three interfacial transition zones. One interfacial transition zone between the new cement paste or new cement mortar and the old attached mortar. One interfacial transition zone is between aggregate and the old mortar, and one between the aggregate and new mortar. So obviously, this interfacial transition zone in most of the cases will be good enough. Okay, and this interfacial transition zone between the aggregate and old mortar or the new mortar and the old mortar will be lesser. So if you apply the loading, the cracks may go from here or the cracks can go from here, the higher chances, right? And it will be failing. So we have to address this interfacial transition zone. Like we discussed here, that when you apply the loading, the crack can go from the new mortar, which is desirable. The crack can go from the old mortar and new mortar. The crack can go propagate through the old mortar. It can go from the interfacial transition zone between the old mortar and aggregate, and it can go from the aggregate. And aggregate as the most strongest component. If my crack is going from the aggregate, that means I will be on the safer side. But in most of the cases, it is going either from, it is following either failure mode 3 or failure mode 4. That means this old mortar, we have to address it. So how to address it? We have to study. So we fundamentally studied those, old mortar, because we know we use more portion of the cement or whatever we do, the crack is going through the old mortar. So what to do? We thought, first of all, we have to read. We have to study this old mortar. What we did, we put some thermocouples, okay, and then we put in the oven at different elevated temperatures, and what we found that at around 500 degrees Celsius, okay, and if I keep into the oven, then the hydration products were dissolved, and when the hydration products are dissolved, this mortar will be, very weak because of the heating, because of the, variation in the heating. There will be temperature gradient, and then the only thing you have to do, you have to scratch it away. So how to scratch it away? We kept in a ball milling machine, and then we rotate it, and then we could separate the mortar from the aggregates completely. Okay, you can see here, this was the recycled aggregates, and then after processing it, you can see the clear aggregate picture is visible. Okay, and as far as the characterization is concerned, earlier the specific gravity was less than 2.4, now the specific gravity is more than 2.7. Okay, and earlier the mortar content was 42%, now it's 3% only. And then we thought, now we'll be using these recycled aggregates for concrete. Okay, we saw the workability. So for the PQC, you need a workability of 25. Okay, it was achieving it. As far as the compressive strength is concerned, in fact, at 100% proportion of these, we were getting a strength of more than M40. That means 100% of these recycled aggregates could be used for pavement quality concrete. Okay, so what is the Indian scenario now? If I see, I told you, right, there is a ban on the quarrying activities, especially the fine aggregates, right? And if I talk about the aggregates, let's say limestone aggregate, if I keep the production of the cement and the consumption of the cement, the rate as constant, in next 40 to 50 years, will be exploiting all our natural resources. We will not be having any recycled aggregates, because most of these quarries are now under the natural forest, where we cannot extract it. So what we have to do? We should use the recycled aggregates, right? But after using the recycled aggregates also, we have to explore for other aggregates, because the requirement is too higher. Okay, you can see the total demand per annum is 1.6 billion tons. And how much recycled aggregates we are getting? 700 million tons. Okay, what about the remaining fraction? We have to explore the other materials. As far as the highway is concerned, we have explored. See, in highways we have different layers, right? We have discussed. We have granular subbase, we can have waterbound, macadam, WLM. Okay, we have the binder course in flexible pavement, we have the bearing course. So, if I see these layers, here we are using the aggregates, right? And if you remove it, you will get a normal aggregate, new aggregate. You can crush it also because the size of the aggregates in these layers is higher. And these are the natural aggregates only. Okay, so we did some analysis for entire India considering the worst scenario and the good scenario. What we found that if you are replacing the existing flexible payment to concrete payment, then we'll be getting around 28 billion tons of coarse aggregate and 9 billion tons of the fine aggregate, which is enough to convert the existing flexible payment into concrete payment across the country. Okay, but what about these two layers? Okay, because these aggregates are known as RAP aggregates. Yeah, obviously there will be some problem. Okay, so starting with what is this RAP? RAP is nothing but when the flexible payment is to be dismantled because of any reason, mostly because of the distresses. So the aggregates will be getting are known as RAP aggregates. Okay, so now like for GSB, if you extract some aggregate, it will be natural aggregate only. But from the surface course or the binder course, you are extracting the aggregates, it will be having some bitumen coating. And then I'm saying that we can use the RAP aggregates for concrete payment. And if there are some practitioner engineers, okay, most of you are the teachers or the research scholars or the students, you should not use any aggregate. In fact, having a coating of dust also, you have to wash those aggregates. Now you'll be saying this is the mad person. He's saying we cannot use any aggregate having a dust coating, and how he's saying that we can use the RAP aggregates, which will be having a bitumen coating, organic bitumen coating. That's also for the concrete payments. Okay, so we can do it, but we have to fundamentally characterize it. So we studied the RAP aggregates. We found that they could have many different layers of the contaminant layers. Mostly it will be having agglomerated particles and bitumen. Okay, so agglomerated particles are nothing. You see here, they are the two aggregates sticking with each other, or the small size aggregates are sticking on the periphery of the coarser aggregate in presence of the bitumen. So obviously, if two aggregates are sticking with each other, with bitumen, not with the cement, so you can easily detach it. But it's very difficult to detach single particles. So when you are using for concrete mixes, so your properties will be reducing. Obviously, if you have bitumen, so bitumen, what the bitumen will do? Bitumen will will hinder in the bonding of cement paste with the aggregate surface. And the bonding that will be developed between the cement mortar paste and the bitumen, being too poor in the nature, will tend to reduce your property. That's why we should not use these RAP aggregates. As far as the finer RAP aggregates are concerned, because the finer fraction are already sticking around the coastal fraction, right? So obviously the fine aggregates will be highly gap graded in the nature. Mostly with my analysis, what I found that the fine aggregates, the percentage passing through 600 micrometer, this is very much required when you are talking about the mixes for concrete payments, because we have to consider the thixotropy. So these will be affecting the potential of a mixture to be used with the help of the paver machines. So we thought, okay, anyway, we'll adopt our normal procedure, that is, we'll be characterizing the aggregates mechanically, and then we'll later on see for the concrete mixtures. So we were, some interesting results were found. Okay, so see, specific gravity, this is for the natural aggregates that we have considered. It was 2.65. For RAP aggregates, it was 2.39. Okay, it is well enough. Water absorption was also less than 2%. Okay, that means as per the specification, I can use it. Impact value, crushing value, low surface abrasion value were all lesser than the natural aggregates. Why? Because if you are using the normal procedures, so when you compact it or heat it, then the bitumen is soft. It will bind the aggregates into single mass. So obviously the amount of the waste or the difference in the mass, you cannot map it because you are not able to crush it. Okay. So with the help of the mechanical properties, it shows that we can use these RAP aggregates for payment application, but I will disagree here because all these normal, you see here, this is the flakiness. Okay, because these are the agglomerated particles. Aggregates will not be flaky. Okay, and the elongation value, will be higher. That means these normal procedures could not be used for characterizing this kind of waste material. You have to, innovate some other methodology or improvise these methodologies. Okay, so similarly for the fine aggregates, what we found that it was gap graded in the nature. So we thought, okay, we cannot use these aggregates right now. Okay, but can we use it for the drying concrete? Okay, drying concrete is it's not a load bearing layer. Okay, it provides the support for the construction of the PQC. So can we use it? We thought, okay, let's try to use it. Okay, so what we did, before that you should know about the drying concrete that we discussed in first presentation. It's a lean concrete zero slab mixture which is used for base coat of the concrete pavement. So what we did, we replaced the natural aggregates in different proportions: 25%, 50%, 75%, 100%. Okay, both the coastal fraction as well as the final fraction. What we see that there was a significant reduction in the dry density of the mixes when you keep on increasing the proportion of RAP aggregates. And as far as the fine aggregates were concerned, a significant reduction in the MDD value was observed. And you can see here the aggregates were, the mixture was having significant segregation and bleeding. This has happened because the bitumen. Bitumen is a hydrophilic in the nature, right? It will not absorb the water. So the chances of segregation will be higher, and because the fine aggregates are gap graded in the nature, obviously segregation and bleeding are inevitable. Okay, and the attribution for lower dry density or the MDD value for the DLC mixes with increased RAP proportion is because bitumen specific gravity is 1, aggregate specific gravity is 2.7. If you club both, the combined specific gravity will be lesser, and hence the lesser MDD value. So we thought, okay, we'll see how it is affecting our compressive strength, because DLC is designed based upon the compressive strength. So you can see here that this requirement is 7 MPa, was 7 MPa when I did this analysis, now it's 10 MPa. The natural aggregates at 7 days, it reached 14 MPa strength. But if you see here that when we replace 25% by the RAP aggregate, the strength reduces by more than 50%. And if I talk about the other mixes, none of the mixes achieved 7 MPa strength criteria. In fact, the higher mixes didn't achieve the 7 MPa strength criteria 20 days of the curing also. Okay, so what is the attribution? Obviously, the attribution that we discussed, the agglomerated particles are there, the bitumen coating will be there, fine aggregates are poorly graded in the nature, and obviously there is a relationship between the dry density of the DLC and the strength. If you are getting a lower dry density, that means its properties will also be lesser. Okay, so why this is happening? Then you go to know that who are the major culprits? The major culprit is the bitumen film or the other contaminant layer and the agglomerated particles. Can't we remove it? Okay, can't we remove the agglomerated particles? Or can't we, just provide some windows from which the cement paste will be going and interacting with the aggregate surface if you are not able to do it? Yes, you can do it. Okay, these are the organic compounds. They are totally soluble in toluene, or you can say benzene, kerosene, diesel. Okay, you can do it. But is it feasible? It is sustainable? No, it is not sustainable. So what we have to do? Right. So we thought, okay, we cannot use all these chemical admixtures or chemical solvents. What we should do? So we studied it. What we found that there is a property known as oxidation. Bitumen is a hydrocarbon in nature. When it's exposed to the ambient environment, so what will happen? The aromatic compounds will be oxidized, and then bitumen fraction will be become brittle in the nature. And when something is brittle, by providing mechanical stresses over its surface, it can be broken. So what we did, we extracted the flexible pavement material, okay, crushed it at the field, and then stockpile into the open environment for around 6 to 8 months, so that oxidation could be accelerated. So now see, earlier it was black color, then it was brown color. Brown color because we stockpile into the open form. Okay, that's why soil might have mixed with it. And then what we did, because now this bitumen is stiffer in the nature, we put it into the ball mixture. Okay, and then for providing the mechanical stresses, we put some steel balls and then allow it to rotate for about 15 to 20 minutes. So normally you can use the normal mixtures also. Okay, so you have to keep 25 kg of these RAP aggregates, and you can keep around 10 to 15 number of charging balls, just like Los Angeles ablation machine. Okay, and then allow it to rotate. So we optimize it. I did these trials for around 6 to 8 months. Okay, with various proportions, various iterations, and then we optimized this technology. Actually, we innovated this technology, and then what you can see here, this is the wrap aggregates, and this is the wrap aggregates after processing. Okay, you can see the clear picture. So with this technology, I could reduce the bitumen content by around 50%. I could reduce the agglomerated particles by more than 70%. And then I thought I'll be utilizing it for concrete pavements. Okay. So what I did, see, you'll be saying you did something in the laboratory and then you removed the bitumen. How you can generalize your findings? So we thought we will well aware about these questions. So we thought we'll not be doing any verification. We'll be just going to the site, okay, and we'll utilizing the wrap aggregates. We'll be crushing it in the by manually only, because if you're crushing it by manually, the agglomerated particles will be higher, right? So it's a worst scenario. If you can make some concrete for the worst scenario, definitely it can be suggested for the good scenario. Okay, so we went to the field, we removed the existing pavement manually, we processed the aggregates manually, and then we used it for both the layers, drying concrete as well as the pavement quality concrete. And what we found, see, existing pavement was there, we removed it, and then these are the steps that we have followed, and we measured the temperature differential as well. Okay, because like in the design fundamentals we discussed, so the loading on the pavements is not because of the vehicle, it will be also because of the curling or the warping. So you have to measure the curling as well. I think somebody has to mute. Okay, someone is unmute. Please mute yourself. Yeah, thank you. So because in the payments, the stresses will be occurring not because of only the load, because of the temperature also, right? So we monitor the payment for temperature differential. So you can see here that this is a natural payment, natural aggregate payment. This is a wrap payment. Look wise, both were same. Strength wise, DLC achieved 10 MPa strength, okay, and the natural payment achieved 11 MPa. Means the strength is both same. And here you should remember we have utilized 100% wrap aggregates. As far as the payment quality concrete is concerned, the compressive strength criteria was not achieved. The compressive strength requirement is 40 MPa, but flexure strength requirement is 4.5, and for wrap concrete it was way higher than 4.5. Okay, but yeah, if you compare with the natural payment, it's lesser. Okay, so like we discussed, we designed the payment for fatigue analysis, right? We have to do the fatigue analysis. In fatigue analysis, we have the stresses because of the loading as well as the temperature. So we map the temperature throughout the year, and then what we found that the temperature differential in wrap payment is lesser than the natural payment, okay, by around 2 degrees Celsius. And if you see these models, okay, provided by the ISC 58, the stress is directly proportional to the wheel loading as well as the temperature differential. So because of the wrap, if the temperature differential is lesser, that means the stresses will also be lesser, and subsequently fatigue damage will also be lesser. If you can see here, that total stresses on the natural slab was 1.89, or the wrap slab it was again 1.89 for the daytime, and at the night time it was lesser. So this shows that despite lesser strength, the stresses on the pavements will be lesser if you are using wrap aggregates. Okay, and remember we did it for the worst scenario. Okay, so this was my last slide, and thank you for attending this thing. This is my group here at IIT Madras. We have many persons who are working on different aspects of the waste. We have Professor Ravindra Gittu. He is the Dean Research. Also, we have one Society for the Concrete, RILAM. So he is the first person from India who is the president of the RILAM Society. We have Professor Manu Santanam. He is the current HOD. Okay, we have Professor K.N. Satyanarayan. He works on life cycle assessment. He is the current director of IIT Tirupati. We have Professor Veera Raghavan. You must be reading Justu Khanna Veera Raghavan book. He is the author of Justu Khanna Veera Raghavan book. Okay, we have Professor K. Ramamurthy. Okay, he works on the fly ash-based aggregates. We have Professor Pillai. He works on a durability aspects. We have Professor Piyush. Okay, he's working on biomass or the agricultural waste. as a for concrete mixes as a filler material or the secondary supplementary cementitious material. And myself, I'm working on recycled aggregates. So with this, I would like to say thank you, and I would like to acknowledge Suryakant, who is the PhD scholar in IIT Roorkee. Okay, he's a very good person. He's my colleague. He's working on different aspects of the wrap material. So thank you. Now I'm open for the question and answer round.
Sir, thank you very much, sir. Actually, we are really grateful to have, sir. You have agreed to provide engage three sessions, and I must.
Okay, I can. You are on mute, Dr. Amrendra. You are on mute. Yeah.
Sorry, sir. Sir, I must say that like our participant definitely have gained significant knowledge with your lectures, sir. And I request you to go through some of the questions are there in chat box, sir. Please go through that one, and then of course we'll provide some remarks.
Okay, I'll take. So it's from
10:31, sir.
10:31.
Sorry. So Bhavna Rao, IRC 15 stipulates 3-point loading for finding the flex strength of beam specimen. I don't think so. IRC 15 stipulates. Okay, if you are well sure, then I can cross check it. But we have for flex strength for payment we have to use 4-point bending only. Okay, maybe this there is a slight misunderstanding here. We can say 2-point bending or 3-point bending. Okay, again, so that means we have to provide the bending at different locations. It's same only. Okay, so you can say mid-span bending or the 1/3 span bending. So, okay, in that case it is ruled. Then Kumar, what would be the cost of recycling aggregates per cubic? See, normally it depends. Nowadays, it's obviously it will be lesser because the recycling aggregates are available free of the cost. But because of many GSTs and the other things, and the transportation cost, okay, nowadays it is equal. But we should not look for the cost. We have to look for the sustainability aspect. We are not having the natural aggregates. Okay, so we have to think in a greater picture. Our vision should be good. So obviously the cost wise, it is mostly equal, but on a slightly lower side. The Venkat Narayan admixtures are really recent innovative. Any feedback on admixtures effect in the long run of the concrete? See, admixtures are the recent innovations. Yeah, I agree with you. But I will, if I talk about some recent advancements, plasticizer, super plasticizer are using for the last 10 years. Okay, so yeah, see, we have the studies available. There is no negative effect of these admixtures on the long run. If I talk about the mineral admixtures, we have to see the chemistry. Okay, so what is doing? They are having the amorphous silica, which is reacting with calcium hydroxide, converting it to CSH gel. In the long run also, it's good, I can say. And why doing mixed design? How to decide, consider the percentage recycled aggregate in the see. Normally, what the people are doing, we have the blending curve. Okay, as per the MOS specification or the IC specification, you can use as much as you require. Okay, but mostly we are doing 20%, 50%, or 100%. But in order to, it's a very good question. Okay, or you can. The first thing, if you are a field engineer, use the blending curve. If you are a researcher, you can use some models to predict what should be the optimum proportion we can use and then do the laboratory trials. Okay, so it's known as packing density approach. You can search it. Dr. S.K. Rao, can we use 100% of recycled concrete aggregates and flexible pavement base course and sub-base course? Hey, why to use it for the flexible pavement? Yeah, okay, because it will be having porousness, it will absorb the bitumen. But if you are rightly speaking about the base case and the sub-base course, I cannot recommend, okay, because I'm not a flexible payment guy, I'm a concrete payment guy, but we have to stick to the IS specifications, which says that up to 30% you can use it. Then Govardhan, what are the various methods of removing the added mortars from aggregate and which method is efficient? See, there are many methods. If you go through the chemistry of these mortar, okay, what is the mortar? It's calcium silicate hydrate, calcium hydroxide, calcium carbonate, and some of the ettringite. Okay, so obviously you have to study that. Right. So how these hydrated products can be dissolved? So one of the method is thermomechanical beneficiation. Okay, wherein you are using only heating the aggregates. Because if I can also recommend some chemical admixtures. You have to use some acid solutions. Which can remove this mortar, but it may affect the durability properties. So you can use any of the method, but you have to characterize the material before and after doing this treatment. So, Tizu Sushen Thomas, sir, how can we do the crushing of CNT waste effectively? Okay, we can use normal crusher. Generally, what happens? We are having two stages of crushing, primary and secondary. Primary crushing, you can go with the jaw crusher, and in the secondary crushing, you can go with the impact crusher. Mostly horizontal impact crusher, if you are utilizing it, then we have established some recycling centers here. We are following these two approaches, and we are getting good quality recycled activities. Then SB, does fly ash alone react with water and produce it? No. See, what is fly ash? You have to see. Fly ash is, having amorphous silica. So any waste material that is giving you the amorphous silica, it will be reacting with calcium hydroxide to form the CHS. Then Govardhan, do we have any recycling plant of course aggregate and treated recycle aggregate readily available? See, we don't have it for the treated recycle aggregates. Okay, it's in the research concept right now. Okay, research zone only, but we have around 10 to 11 recycling plants in India. Okay, then Sastri sir, thank you for appreciating. So I think these were the questions, and you can mail me if you have any doubts.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Participants, suppose if you have any doubts in the future also, you can talk to sir, because sir has done significant work on recycling, especially if you can see in case of the flexible payment. So nowadays, a lot of waste material like recycled material is available. People are afraid to use the recycled materials, even in case of the base courses, surface courses, due to mainly lack of experience and experimentation for knowledge in that. So you can talk to sir. They have done good amount of work. I have gone through some of your papers also, sir, that you have published in IIT Roorkee, your page, right? So very good, significant contributions have done in the areas of research.
See, you can see, right now, sorry to interrupt you. Now I am the editor of this journal, Frontiers in Built Environment, and we have proposed one special issue there. Okay, so use of organic waste means these RAP aggregates for cement concrete matrices. Okay, if you want to publish it, definitely I will be happy. Okay, if somebody of you, of anyone, please start working on these RAP materials for concrete mixes, and you can submit your papers in that journal. It's Frontiers in Built Environment, and we have special issue. Okay, on organic waste.
Even I could have some doubts, sir. Definitely, I'll talk to you later, and I'll mail you, sir.
Oh, sure. I'll be happy.
Thank you, sir. Thank you once again for your wonderful presentation, sir. And also, on behalf of RGOK and Civil Department, I say special thanks, because when I asked you immediately, you have access to deliver 3 lectures, because I thought of to give you the fundamentals or fundamentals rigid payment, and you said you want to deliver even this one also. I was extremely happy at that time, because I was a little bit hesitate to ask you to deliver. Is it possible or not like that? But you yourself told me. Good, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Keep in touch, sir. Okay. Thank you very much.
I request my colleague, Mr. Chaitanya, to provide closing remarks.
Good morning, participants. Myself Chaitanya, Assistant Professor in Department of Civil Engineering.
Good morning.
RGOK. Good morning, sir. Sir has started the presentation with an overview on advantages and disadvantages of rigid payment. Later then, sir explained the process of selection of different materials for any modification process. So then he elaborated the different steps in that process, like a chemical characterization, mechanical performance, and then checking the performance with that selected material. So further, sir take a case study on recycled aggregates within the campus of IIT Madras. Then he elaborated the Indian scenario in concrete recycling. So in the final stage of his presentation, sir presented a case study on RAP and explained the technical specification and the different steps involved in the design. Sir, really introduced a new topic to us, sir, and I hope all the audience are benefited with your presentation. Thank you, sir. Thanks you once again.
Actually, I have one more suggestion. See, this RAP material, because it's hydrophilic in nature, I think it can be used for pervious concrete. Okay, so it will be very good thing if you are using for the pervious concrete. And since you are from the Andhra, it's a developed state, I can say, because I stayed there for 5 years. I did my schooling from there. So for the high-tech city or those areas, we can use the pervious concrete, and then we can especially use the reclaimed asphalt pavement. Okay, So I'm not working on it, but it's a good topic. And like I said, one of the scholar, Suryakant, he's working on this use of rare for pervious concrete. So he's a brilliant researcher in IIT Roorkee, and you can definitely send him email. Okay, so he'll be happy to take your questions also if you have any doubts.
Okay. Okay, sir. We'll definitely discuss with the issue with Professor Krishna Biligiri, sir, who is an expert in that
Yeah.
pervious concrete.
Yeah, see, this Suryakant Sahu, he did his master's work with Biligiri only.
Oh, sir. Okay.
Yeah.
Yesterday, Krishna Kopuna delivered the exam for this office.
Yeah, right. He works extensively on pervious concrete. He started pervious concrete in India.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So we have actually invited professors who are expert in different areas.
Yeah, so he's the first person who did work on pervious concrete in India. I am the first person who started working on recycling the RAP materials for payment. So yeah, see, Dr. Amrendra, he's having good jugaads, I can say, good links. Okay, he knows all the. That's why I call him Dr. Amrendra Bahubali. Okay, he knows all the big shots in India.
Thank you, sir.
I worked in the industry for 8 years. That's why you know me.
Okay. Yeah, thank you, Amrendra, for inviting me. Okay.
Oh, I'll be in touch with you.
Yeah, sure. Okay, then bye.